Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, estamos aquí de nuevo presencial. Bueno, hoy es estupendo, vamos a presentar a un arquitecto que viene de lejos, a Nripal Adhikary, del iniciativa llamada ABARI, Tierra y Bambú. Es un estudio de arquitectura que se dedica a recuperar la arquitectura vernácula y los oficios artesanales, las tradiciones de Nepal y convertirlas en una arquitectura contemporánea atractiva y estimulante para la gente que lo habita y para la gente que lo construye, ¿no? Nripal, además, tiene una arquitectura muy fina. Toda esta arquitectura ha tenido reconocimientos internacionales, tiene una página web estupenda que podéis visitar, y también tiene una cosa muy interesante, que es esa capacidad innovativa de coger materiales tradicionales, técnicas tradicionales, reinterpretarlas y convertirlas en algo en arquitectura contemporánea. Bueno, yo os decía que tenía algún reconocimiento importante, incluso fue finalista en los premios Architectural Review en el año 2017 en la categoría de Emerging Architects. Y nada, esperemos que no sea la primera, la última, aunque sea la primera. Y adelante, the board is yours.
Thank you so much. Very nice to be here.
You have the best.
Yeah, it looks, I know most of you. It's like a small family. Yeah, thank you again for giving me this opportunity. We've been trying to do this presentation for the last 2 years with Alicia, but sometimes like the technical problem was not possible. So I just continue in English. Oh, no translation. Okay. So today I'll talk about my works I've been doing for the last 10 years in Nepal. So just to give you a small background, I studied in New York, doing conventional architecture, like studying, but I was not interested. But I wanted to do something more different. I didn't know about vernacular back then, but something more to do with materials, something more natural. And then a friend of mine told me about buildings in New Mexico. And you know how they have this beautiful adobe construction. And I went there to see those buildings, and I was really impressed because the materials are the same. It's like what we use in our countries, but they have made it more glamorous, more interesting. And it was like not associated with poverty, but associated with wealth. And I was very impressed. I was like, we have amazing architecture in Nepal. If you know Nepal, it's between Tibet, China border and India. So there is a lot of confluence of different culture, different geography. We have, like a lot of people when think of Nepal only think of the mountains of the Mount Everest, but we have plains also. You know, we have like when I was going today this morning with Fernando, the rice field, it reminds me of home. And also we have the mountains, of course. So between these two geographies, we have a lot of interesting architecture. And the interesting part is it's still alive, but slowly it has a bad image of poverty, but it's still alive. So, like for example, you see a lot of buildings here. Like these are buildings up in the Himalayas with rammed earth, and also in the mountains you have adobe, but it rains a lot, so we don't have flat roof. Here we have the tiles like here, but this is all adobe. Interestingly, we don't use a lot of lime, but we use a lot of earth, yeah, and a lot of adobe. And you know, a lot of people think associate adobe with only dry climate, but in our case, even in the wet climate, like sometimes it gets 1 meter of rain, we still have adobe, right? In some areas we built on stilt where there is a lot of water. So a lot of variety of architecture. And I've been like doing a lot of studies and documenting them. For example, this house, it's about 300 years old, made with burnt bricks on the outside and adobe in the inside. A lot of wood, and mostly what happens in traditional architecture, the material is for free because you just go to the forest, you get your wood, you have stones everywhere, you have earth everywhere. And we have this really interesting tradition of helping someone else build a house. So if I'm building my house, my neighbors will come and build for me. And we will keep track of how many days. Like if he comes and helps for 5 days, I have to go and help him for 5 days. So there's but slowly, of course, that tradition is dying. But whenever the people built these structures, that was how they did. Or if you go in the mountains, you have this stone architecture. This is all dry stack stone. This would be around 5,000 meters. Like a lot of earthquake, but they have a very interesting technique of tying with wood for reinforcement, like here. And they have like a courtyard. Like for example, the roof of this is a road for the neighbor's house, so it's all connected. Or in the plains, we have this earth architecture, and there's a lot of rain, so a lot of what we call maintenance, but they don't see it as maintenance. They see it as a ritual. For example, every time it rains, after monsoon, they come and they paint their house with different colors, like all natural colors, pigments. So, like really interesting traditions, which is still alive. Or like some traditions are unfortunately dead. For example, this bamboo bridge, about 30 meters, built in 1895 with bamboo. But this tradition is gone because, no engineering like school teaches it, no architecture school teaches it. And this is a sign of poverty, right? Even though it's use everything local, everything like it has so much craft involved. Or another suspension bridge, which we have here. And so the tradition is lost. And, like in Nepal, there's a lot of inaccessible areas. So there are places where we cannot bring foreign materials, or we don't have the economy to bring foreign materials. So people are bringing, they cannot afford, and they have to use a very scary way to cross the bridge. This is not Photoshop, this is real. Like this is like, you have a steel cable, and like kids are crossing the street to go to school every day, not like. So there's a lot of contradiction between what we have versus and what is our aspiration, right? And just to make this point clear, for example, the whole country of Nepal, the cement level is only 17%. This is the whole country. And in some areas, there's as little as 0.2% cement, This is according to the census of 2011. A lot of wood, a lot of bamboo, a lot of stone, a lot of adobe. If you look at the map, here's West Nepal, like 75% or more buildings are built with earth, right? As earth has mortar. And if you, I don't know if you like the image of Nepal, like whenever people think of Kathmandu especially, there were a lot of hippies that went to Kathmandu in the 70s. So it has this image of Shangri-La, right? And it does have one of the highest number of World Heritage Sites, about 10, like cities, not only like structures. And here's like one area. This is not World Heritage Site, but this is like a one neighborhood. Like you see beautiful earthen buildings, 2-3 story. This is in 1967, and then you'd have nice rice field in front of the house. You know, sometimes reminds me of your architecture here. But this is what we've done to the same buildings now, like with concrete. Right? This is with urbanization. It's from such a Shangri-La, it's become to a concrete jungle. And this is what we have now in Kathmandu. It's terrible. But why, even though we have amazing history of a vernacular architecture, but why are people building with cement, right? There's nothing that traditional material can do that modern can does, but it's even better actually in terms of thermal, because there is that illusion that cement is strong and that will last hundreds of years. But in the last earthquake, you know, this is at the epicenter, the concrete buildings also like collapse, like house of cards, you know, like there is nothing like you can salvage from this. And it costs a lot of money, there's nothing recyclable. So, on the other hand, properly built stone buildings, this is also taken from the epicenter of the earthquake. It can survive, right? So in this context, you know, I wanted to do something, you know, as a young architect. So, you know, and I didn't want to conserve because the tradition is still alive, right? It's not like the European context where it's losing that you need to conserve. But the biggest problem was, how do you take this tradition and put it in modern context, right? The skill set is there, the material is there, but no architect's taken it to put it in any for today's sensibility. So I started this organization called ABARI to take tradition and put it in modern context, right? So this was what we wanted to do, take vernacular and put it in today's context. And two of the main materials that we used is bamboo, of course, and earth, you know. Earth because of it's, as I showed you, it's everywhere. It can be earthquake resistant because it's a monolith thick structure. And bamboo because it's very lightweight and delicate. For people who are not aware of what bamboo is, it's basically grass. It's the same family as rice, right? So more you cut it, the better it is. It grows faster and better. And we have about 54 species of bamboo. And in terms of strength, it can be strong as steel in tension. But I think a lot of people compare it to steel, but I think it's even better than steel because steel is strong, but it is heavy. While bamboo is strong, but it is lightweight, right? So you would rather compare it to materials like carbon fiber, which the material they use for aeroplanes. So, and in terms of density, is like bird's bone. It's very lightweight. It's earthquake resistant. If there's an earthquake, which we saw in our buildings, that it moves like spring and then comes back to shape. It's really interesting. And we have a lot of people engaged in this sector. And in bamboo, there's nothing that goes to waste. For example, if this is a bamboo plant, the leaves you can use for fodder. You can when it's small like this, you can eat. When it's big, this portion you can make to use fibers. The bottom you can use for construction. So it's an amazing, we call it a vegetable steel, right? It's such an amazing material. So when it's less than 30 days, you can eat. Up to 1 year, you can make it fibers. And when it's old, you can make construction. So it's something that you can make fibers, food, and construction. It's an amazing material. And if you look at the material, like mostly it is found in the global south. My correlation is areas that eat rice use bamboo because it's the same family, right? And if you look at bamboo, if you zoom in with the microscope, you see that bamboo is a collection of tubes, right? Tubes are one of the strongest materials in geometry in construction. But this is even interesting because it's a composite of tubes. Like you put these tubes together, and they work as one unit, and so it has a lot of fibers, so it can move. And because of this long fibers, it's also used in fabric. Like all these tubes is also like leaves. It's also doing photosynthesis, right? So it's that's why it grows fast. But so if it's such a good material, like I said, if it's a very strong material, why aren't people using it, right? That's the main question. And the main question is because of this, because it has a lot of chlorophyll in the stem, it has a lot of sugar, and it's more resistant to termites. So, like if you look at these tubes, there are a lot of these sugar modules you can see. So because of that, it gets infected by termites. So what we did is we did a small innovation. We took a cylinder like this and added preservative, boron compound, and put a bicycle pump here and created pressure in that preservative. So it's pressurized. And once it's pressurized, we have a pipe that goes like this, and it's connected to the ends of bamboo, right? When you connect to the ends of bamboo, the sugar comes and pushes the starch out, right? So all the sugar that you see, all this, these things get pushed out, and then you replace it with boron compound. Amazing, like a very simple technology, but very effective, because you can take it everywhere, you don't need electricity, you can. So we did a lot of construction with that, but we also, as we started growing, we also have a centralized industrial plant. So that was one major innovation, was to make its life from, usually if you don't treat, it will last 3 years. But if you treat, it could last 100 years, right? So that was a major innovation we did. And another innovation we did was the joint. bamboo is hollow inside, so it's not like timber that you can make it into fixed geometry, right? Unless you do lamination, which they do in China, which is you take the strips and laminate and build. But that's a very industrial process, and it makes it very expensive. So we wanted to use the round bamboo because it has amazing properties. But the problem with the round bamboo is, as you cannot cut the geometry, and it's not perfectly round, we had to devise a joint that would take care of all the asymmetries, right? So we designed a very simple metal system, like here, we use that IKEA kind of joint to connect two pieces together. Okay? You can connect more pieces if you need. And then that was a major innovation that really helped in making large span structures. So after this, we were like, okay, now we have solved these problems, some more the technical problems, so let's start building. And my interest was to build public structures. Private structure is tricky because people don't want to be the first one to build like that, So, but public spaces, schools, people are more open towards doing that. And also the other reason is there's more need for public spaces. Like if you look at vernacular architecture in the beginning, they have like smaller structures, right, for homes. But the more public structures like schools and hospitals, these are more like a modern innovation. So we need vernacular architecture to do this. So my first project was to build a community hall where we use bamboo. We took bamboo, and then made like an arch, like bent it and like built this structure. So we take bamboo, kind of like a Gothic arch, bundle them together and bend it, and like, it was, for a first project, it was pretty successful, it was very strong, and people really liked it. And one of the major outcome was there was a lot of acceptance. People are like, oh, this is interesting. And then, so the second project was I did a school using stone. This is stone, this is not bricks. So we did like, cut it and did the stones. And everything is locally available, like it's up in the mountains, there's no roads, so everything, even the nuts and bolts, if we needed to go, we have to drive for 2 days to get there. So we built this with bamboo and stone on top, this stone slates. So we wanted to give, and this is a public school, and the roof, we did our joint system, creating light, and inside, as I said, we're working with very low budget. We did stone and then earth plaster. We recycled like these bottles, and even this round windows. It's a drain pipe. So a lot of improvisation and a lot of it took a lot of time. And after this, actually, I was very tired because it took almost 3 years to build this. And it was very amazing, to see that you can build something with local material, you can something build beautiful. But it was too difficult. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And interesting, what happened is this was the building. In this area, there was a big earthquake. the last Gorkha earthquake, this was the epicenter, you know. And this was the only building that survived in the whole area. And all of a sudden then we are like, people are like talking to us, you know, and then we became like, we are in the news, we are like, oh, you know, like earthen building stands, the earthquake, you know, there was in the BBC and all this international media also. And all of a sudden, like, we have credibility. And so what we did is like, oh yeah, we were very excited. And we said, okay, let's build more schools like this. Right? So we went to, took the government school and made it more natural, so to speak, right? Like put nice insulation. So we did some design changes. We added ventilation, nice colors, nice niches. We made it modular. And also the idea was after the earthquake, we had to build many, many schools. So this was open source document. So we put it on the internet so people could just copy it, right? And doing that, we built many schools. And, you know, so here this is, the walls is with earth, and then there's bamboo. Interestingly, like people ask me, why do we have these cement bands? The cement band is mostly for psychological safety for the people, because there's a confidence in steel. So if you put the steel, they will go like, oh, okay, this is safe, even though we don't really need it. So we have these bands, concrete bands, in public buildings, like so. So this is with earthen blocks, and this is like a school, like a government school, very humble school, using this. And like, you know, if you look at inside, you have like a nice truss, creates a lot of insulation, and also the furniture is bamboo, you know, like. So the best part of this was the technology was very decentralized. Like a lot of people could take this technology. Actually, the women were building all these bricks. You know, like here, you know, it was very simple. You put the mix in this hopper, and then you press it, boom, it comes out. You have the bricks. And we did a small budget analysis, and about the 89% of all the budget is stays locally. You know, the local material is about 54%, 35% is the labor cost, only 11% is foreign material. So and people ask me, what is the cost? And I always say it's a good cost, whatever the cost is, because it's staying with the people, right? It's not going to an industry. So after the earthquake, we did like, you know, we put this open source documents, and people were copying, and but also as architect, we wanted to do something more bigger. So we took the tradition of tapial and what you call half timber, like so we have a lot of tradition with building with tapial, you know, like 2-3 stories, and then with half bricks or half timber, we call wattle and daub. And it's so how this works, this is a photo from Bhutan. So what they do is they put the formwork, the men put the formwork, and women come and they do the ramming. I want to show this video that I took. So the men, they do the homework, and so during the day people go to the farm, do their work, and in the evening they come back and they help in construction. And so you can see it's very joyful. once the song is finished, the ramming is also finished, the layer. So the length. So it's people think ramming as a very difficult masculine job, but it's people are just doing it. They're laughing, they're enjoying, they're drinking, and. So, and they are doing it. It's okay, it's good. So we took this technology, and then we improvised it. I also saw it here that usually the tapial is very big, So we added few elements to make it thin. Thin meaning about 40 centimeter. And then we added, people before used to have thin formworks, very small ones. Here we used bigger ones, so you can get nice finish. And we use natural pigment. We have a lot of colors. This is not even pigments, this is natural earth, white earth, red earth. So to create patterns. And so this is how we've taken the traditional material and put it in our context. For example, what we do is, we have a foundation, there's if you don't know, it's a very high seismic zone. So we have a stone rubble masonry, and then a layer of damp proofing and concrete. This is the only place where we use concrete, here and the bottom, and we don't use stabilize our earth, because, as you know, it changes the thermal properties. And then we put rebars in the ends, corners, one 12 mm rod in the corners for seismic performance. And then every 50 centimeters, we put polymer mesh, like you see here. Yeah, like this mesh. So this is to create that earthquake resistance. I heard before, when in China, when they were making Great Wall of China, it also has tapial. They used bamboo and fibers to do this. But we don't use that here, because whenever I use bamboo, it's a natural material. So I want to make sure it is in a place that I can access. So in the worst case, if something goes bad, I can change, right? So inside, here we use the polymer mesh, but the earth is, it's not stabilized, right? It's just pure ramming, pure earth, like the ones you see here. And we have a big formwork. So example, this is one formwork. From here, this is the edge, so this will be one formwork. And when we join, we have this groove, and it connects to this. Right? And doing this, we did a lot of, it's really interesting, because we thought this would be a very good material for social housing. But interestingly enough, the people who are poor, they do not want to live in earth. But it's usually the people who want second homes, they are more interested in earth. So after the earthquake, we give a lot of free design, a lot of technology, but it didn't scale as much as we wanted. But who are interested is in more the educated, the economically, ecologically conscious people. And we got a really nice opportunity to build a public library in Kathmandu, in the heart of the city. So here we built this a public library, here we use a lot of traditional techniques. For example, in terms of engineering, what we did is this structure is independent of this wall structure. This is how people built before. So imagine if there's an earthquake, really bad, the walls would collapse, they would fall outside, but the roof would still be there, right? So that's an interesting element that we added. And this is all half timber, and also we use just earth, we don't use any stabilization. And it breathes. What we found is this library has a lot of old books, and the moisture content of inside the library was really always the same, like constant. It didn't become dry like if you would in an air-conditioned environment. But of course we added some modern elements of light and the electricity and plumbing. So it was a really good combination. Like a few years ago, we wouldn't have been able to even think of something like this in Kathmandu. And this is the outside. This is like the tapial. Big overhang roof, and here are some of the joints. With this joint we can create a larger and stronger structure. Here's different angles. Here's the school, so we created a very interesting mesh. It's like a vaulted structure, but what's interesting is since bamboo is lightweight, you can curve it. It's like a three-dimensional vault, right? So you can do a lot of lateral connections, like you see here. The mantra of cement engineers is when in doubt, put more steel. But for us, it's when in doubt, put more bamboo. So and also it doesn't look bad. Sometimes it's, and also in terms of engineering, it's really hard because people don't, because it is not a standard material. There is a lot of variation. So they are always hesitant. But we have a really good engineer friend and who's very intuitive, because when you design something like this, it's like building the old structures. It was more about intuition also. It was also about the geometry, having a right geometry is very important. So we do a lot of, we focus on the geometry and getting the crosses and the truss and getting the curves. So yeah, if we are a little bit doubtful that this may or may not stand, we add another element, right? So apparently you call that hyperstructure in modern engineering. So if one thing falls, the other will stand, help it stand, right? So so we built this two-storied structure, and that's the Architectural Review Award we got for this one. So what we've realized over the years is not a technical problem with earth, that's keeping people away. It is the perception, right? Like as we know, like there are structures that are thousands of years old, built with earth, but it's not a technical problem. It's just people think it's not good enough. So yeah, we are trying to push that envelope. So here's another school that we just recently finished. It's in a very hot climate. It built in passive solar design principle. So we have large overhang roof. So we are working with a lot of challenges. One is earthquake, the other is rain, other is perception, material. So this is a school we did. It's a 2-story, and you can see this is also tapial. It's I don't know if you can notice here. It's a gradation from red clay to yellow clay. So like a gradual gradation, and we've added some birds and a few elements, so everything is again like so locally sourced. We have reinforcement for earthquake, but most of these structural elements, these are like structural tapial, right? But reinforced. Here's the design. So this is rammed earth. So this is a classroom. You have a classroom and then open space, classroom, open space. So, so the students can be here or work from here. And also you can move around here. It's a limited space. It gets very hot. So this is how it's designed. And in earthquake, also another problem is we cannot do very complicated shapes. We are usually limited to either to circle or square. So if you want to make complex structure, what we have to do is isolate them. Like for example, this is one, this is another one, this is another one. They are not connected, if you see, but they are in between. We have bamboo. So bamboo works as an accordion, right? So so it helps in taking the stress. So here's like bamboo structure, and then rammed earth, bamboo, rammed earth, and here's the this is the bamboo, right? We are collecting water. We even made this water tank. Here, like we're trying to be very ecological. Like we don't have decorative ornamental flowers. We have vegetables, so kids can come and take the vegetable and go to the cantina and cook with that. So and the structure, like what innovation we've done with this bamboo structure is, if you usually see in other places, they bundle bamboo together, like they put 1, 2, 3, 4 bamboo together. Here we don't do that. Like we've really studied the property of bamboo. So bamboo has fibers. Like if this is bamboo, if you put load in this direction, it can take a lot of load, right? But if you put it like this, there's a lot of flex, like it's very elastic. So we designed everything basically like an arch, right? So if all the load kind of goes like this, when you do that, people see it as a limitation, but I don't see it. It's like, you can move. And we are trying to do a lot of public buildings. So, and also we are doing for private people who are paying for this, so, and with a limited budget. So we have to make sure that it is safe, and there's zero maintenance, right? and it's strong. And so when we do this cathedral like arch-like structure, it has added benefit of you making it like a monkey climb for the kids. They can climb. So we encourage them to like. Sometimes you go to the classroom and the kids are like hanging in a ceiling because there's a pathway for that. And here's like the stairs, like with bamboo. Like bamboo, you can really get nice weaving inside this tapial. And we are not, like sometimes for reinforcement, we put steel in a larger span just for the beam because of flex. So we are not like bamboo fundamentalists, like if we have to, we have to, because we're trying to make a statement that it works. And when we combine other materials, it's for what it's good at. For example, we think concrete's really good for the beams, right? But we don't want concrete in our walls, right? So it's about using the materials for its right properties. So here's another view. And so we are also slowly moving into residential properties. Actually, it's very difficult because residence means they have a lot of requirements and they're very picky. But if we can get into private buildings, that means we have one trust of private clients, right? They are not painted, they are rammed like this. Yeah. It's like, because you do not see what's happening, because you just, you go like this. We make them redo it. So what I usually do is, if this is inside the ram, you go and draw in it. So they go like. So it's not, of course, a very smooth and it's pixelated, but sometimes they mess it up. But also, it's a forgiving material. You can, if it goes wrong, you can, after you remove it, and then ram it from the side. Yeah. But that's a lot of work, and I don't encourage it. Private building, and so one of the, as designing Nepal, one of the biggest issue was like, if you want people to live in rammed earth house, they always ask, do you live in a rammed earth house? So if I live in a concrete house and I tell other people to live in rammed earth house, it doesn't match, right? So, so we built our own house just outside Kathmandu to show an example that it is possible, that you can live a decent life. So here's something we did after the earthquake, before the earthquake. So we took the old foundation, and so we took, local material. Everything's like, literally nothing from here comes from more than 100 kilometers. Like the earth comes from 5 kilometers, the wood comes 5 kilometers, like bamboo comes from 100 kilometers, but that's about it. So it's, in this house, I use about 20 bags of cement. That's for foundation, that's it. Like a normal house would use anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 bags of cement. So we use, and those are for the reinforcement in the bottom. And it's passive solar, of course. Like we use like the timber floor, and we don't use any paint to get the smell. Yeah. Salva will see this. Yeah. So we don't use any paint and for the floor because to get the natural smell. And one thing I've learned in Austria with this architect Martin Rauch, of using casein for waterproof paint. Like here we have some overhang roof, but slowly I'm becoming more comfortable that we don't even need this big roof, right? So in this tapial we paint it with casein. Do you guys know what is casein? Yeah, everyone? Okay. So we paint it with this to make it waterproof. And this has been up for 7-8 years, and there's like been absolutely no problem. It's like strong as a mountain. Yeah. Here's the bath, kitchen. You know, like we have wood oven. Like, you know, like it's. We also have biogas. So our toilet waste goes to a biogas chamber, and that you can use for cooking. It's really interesting, right? So there's like absolutely no waste. So here's just a quick overview of like what we do, like, you know, how we do the foundation. So these are the rebars on the corners. They are very thin rebars, and just ramming, and then, you know, so we've created this module of construction, you know, like, and people have been following this, you know, like now there's like dozens of builders who followed these manuals and footsteps, and here's like the roof, like, and I think bamboo and earth is a really good combination because the rammed earth creates that base, and bamboo creates that flexibility, right? So it's this is also earth, the paint, the roof, you know, the red clay, the yellow clay, everything's. Here's another like roof we do. So this is a private residence, right? So that shows that it's gaining that acceptance, right? Slowly. Also, like public buildings, you know, like these, like. So it's become. We are a design and build organization. So we do like very limited buildings, but yeah, we do 2 or 3 buildings, and that's enough for us. Because what we're trying to create is a whole a supply chain, you know, of craft. You know, there will be another presentation, but we do a lot of furniture, we do a lot of craft, we do, and I want to, in the next phase, I want to show you like how we source bamboo. Like, it's such an amazing material, because when we talk about, many times the skill set is lost because the source of the material is also lost. So we did an experiment in about 2010, so where there was this land, there was flooded, and there was a lot of sand that came like this with the flood. This is the earlier photo with the flood. And then in 5 years, we turned it like this into a bamboo forest, right? So it's, and we use this bamboo to create craft, to create buildings, to do nursery, we do like, so trying to create that holistic cycle. So for example, this 2001, 2005, 2010, there was a huge flood, like, the mouse is not showing. And then like slowly we started planting bamboo, and like now we have this beautiful, like, everything's coming back, you know, the birds are coming back, the people are coming back before many people are left. So we have created this 2 meters of river with a bamboo plantation that creates a very interesting cycle, a loop, a closed loop. Here's this. So this is about it. We're always pushing the envelope, making, like we do workshops also, we teach, and also I also ride a bamboo bicycle. This is it's an electric bamboo bicycle. Like the future modern industries like this, like polluting. I think the future industry could be like this, so something that's good for the planet and for the environment. And thank you. Here's another bicycle that we've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nripal. It was very nice. Now I think you understand what Nripal is doing here. We're trying to collaborate to make a prototype of Dualin, working with bamboo, ram earth, and volt. And these make sense to everything. I think now you understand better. We're open for questions. If you have a question or something like that, I think we have like some minutes. So, Francesca?
Well, I would like to ask if you use any kind of protection for bamboo when you insert inside the rammed earth.
We don't insert inside rammed earth. Mm-hmm. We've done that in the past, but now I'm a little bit more hesitant. Even though you treat it, everything's good. Maybe like 100 years later, sometimes it's a biological material. Like it can go bad, and it can create cavity inside. So we do not insert anything inside. So whenever we use bamboo, we use it such that it is replaceable. Mm-hmm. Right? So suppose a member goes bad, so you can just put some prop, take it out and put it back again. So we do protection with the preservative, like the boron compound. But we also do protection by design, right? So like if something goes bad, you can take it and replace it.
Yes, because I saw in some images there were like bamboo beams or bamboo insert in the walls. I don't know if I saw it and it was, if I saw it and bad. I didn't understand, but there were some images with some bamboo insert.
No, if we do insert, it's mostly for half timber.
Yes.
That we do, like for example, maybe are you talking about this
Here,
one?
yes.
No, this is it's not inserted. Like say this is connected outside. Oh. Here we have half timber, like we're using bamboo on the back. But yeah, it's there we have woven bamboo and then we plaster it. Yeah, that in that case we do put it inside, but not for reinforcement and like like for example in the worst case there's let's say there's termite or anything, we can remove that wall and then replace it again, right? So it's not a problem.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Has there been an earthquake after all of these buildings?
Yes. The first buildings, 2 buildings, yes. But after that, no. I mean, it was only 5 years, so I hope it won't come for another 100 years.
Okay.
So I think we have to cut. We are short of time. I want to finish thanking very much the Centro de Cooperación of the University of Valencia, Polytechnic of Valencia, because without him it couldn't be possible for him to be here, and the project is to be this collaboration. So thank you, the Centro of de Cooperación, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.